So next is joints of different structural connections. So we have many joints, means we have to join them as it is an assembling of the compounds. So skilled persons only can be doing these all things. So what are the joints you will be doing? So jointing of column to footing, jointing of column to beams on top of the column, jointing of column to beam at an intermediate joint of beams, forming of joints of arched structures based on architectural point of view. This will be doing joints of joining of joints of post tension structures, joining of precast to monolithic reinforced concrete structures. So let us go for joining column to footing. This joint is usually rigid but also can be hinged. A rigid joint can be made by placing the column in a clacks of the footing or by using a welded joint. The figure shows here the variations of the methods. Can be used for smaller, can be used for average or large footings. The opening of the clacks is 6 to 10 centimeters greater in all directions than the cross section of the column. Cross section of the column only this is spaced. This has enabled the vibrator to be operated while concreting at the bottom of the clacks and checked by leveling before concreting. A similar steel plate is also put on the lower end of the column when positioning the column. These two steel plates must be on each other. The dimensions of these steel plates this is the major thing we will be doing mistake, that the dimensions of the steel plate we have to mention. If you are not mentioning the dimensions of standard steel plate, then this will not be considered. So mostly this only will be used 100 by 100 by 10 to 150 by 150 by 10 and anchored in the concrete after the column is put in play and placed. So plumbed to advantages are there for the clacks. The placing, plumbing and fixing of column as well as subsequent filling of the clacks with concrete, as far as it requires less time, so it can be done for welding and joining, etc. The method is at least of sensitive variations. So inaccuracies, if anything, is that occurs in construction, this can be avoided. And then the disadvantage of the clacks joint is more suitable for small columns. In the case of large columns requiring a clacks depth of which is greater than 1 meter, one member of joining emerged like a joint consists either of placing two beams onto the small cantilever protracting trans the column of putting it, means in dimensional wise how we are placing it. So dimensionally how we are choosing the steel member and shaft, how we are doing, that is the thing. The other parts are supporting, whether those all are being existing in the steel frame within the frame and that is being adjusted for the concreting and jointing or not, also that is the important thing. So length of the columns are usually of floor lengths and intermediate lengthing should be applied, considered, so intermediate lengthing should be avoided actually. So means intermediate lengthing should not be there, that is the skilled activity we have to consider, and then that should be avoided. So accordingly, if anything, stirrups has to be finally placed and joints has to be jointed. Finally, frame should be formed. Next, joining of beams. The functions of beams can be affected either by overlapping or protracting the steel bars or by the welding them. Then the method illustrated is in such a manner that forming of functions of arched structures, means with reference to joining of beams, after that arched structures and all these all comes under category step by step process where the load bearing has been considered. Then comes to the joints for post tension structures. So what will happen if post tension structures are being carried forward? So it ensures the entire structure, actually post tensioning structure. So the joints include only compressive, can develop subsequent the problem of joining can solve it very easy manner, namely by placing plain surfaces and or filling gaps and cement mortar, either it is precasted member, gaps with cement mortar, precast member. Thus the post tension structure and forming joints does not cause difficulties. Sketches also, if any required, all of these joints will be illustrated through figure wise, and then the moment acting at that member, which joint, which place this will be acting, and all that will be shown there. Then comes to the joining of precast to monolithic reinforced structures. Yes, definitely when making it all, what is the depth you are considering, what is the thickness you are considering, what is the dimensions of the column you are considering. If it is not framed in that, what is the space how you are going to fill it, whether this is taking into consideration. Mostly if monolithic means the same properties will have, definitely it will adopt that system. So the gaps whatever are there, that will be filled. So this is the thing, very essential component. So thanks. Then next composition dealing with of design considerations.